Today I will be showing you this amazing strategy that gives a lot of winning signals. This strategy made 84% win rate within a short period of time. I recently discovered the strategy as it uses just 2 indicators, which makes it very easy and user-friendly for beginners. I will backtest it 200 times, with an initial account size of $1,000, with a 1.5 risk-reward ratio. If you are just starting out trading, then you should definitely start with this strategy, because it has a high win trade entries. Without wasting much of the time, let's jump right into it. Okay guys, this is the Bitcoin United States dollar pair and we are on the 15 mins time frame. For this strategy, we would be using just 2 simple indicators, but the settings and the techniques applied for opening trades makes this strategy stand out from the rest, as it gives high win rate. So let's quickly jump into the strategy. Now for the first indicator, we have the Hull Suite indicator by Insolico. This indicator will be used to identify trends in the market. As you can see that it gives us a green color when we are in a bullish trend, and a red color when we are in a bearish trend. Please watch till the very end as we would be revealing the best setting that was applied, to give it the very best entry and exit points. Like I said earlier, this strategy is a really good one. Now the second indicator on the chart is the chaikain money flow indicator. This indicator would be serving as our confirmation indicator, as it would be determining our entries for trade. And mind you, this strategy is beginner friendly and easy to understand. Now let's go ahead and give the rules for a valid trade. Okay, so for a buy signal to be valid, we need to have the Hull Suite colored in green, and price has to be above the moving average as our first confirmation. Now we would want to wait till we see price retrace back to the moving average. When this happens, we would wait till we get a confirmation for buy entry on the chaikain money flow, as the moving average have to be above the 0 line, before we go ahead and place a buy order at the peak of the trigger candlestick. As we see here, we would be using the recent swing low as our stop loss, and take profit will be 1.6 times the risk. We see we got our pullback on price action here, and we waited till the CMF crossed above the 0 line, before we entered our buy trade at this candlestick. And we can see it was a success. Now why we wait for a pullback is because we would avoid most of the losses incurred from a ranging market, as we only take trades when the market is trending. Now please note that when price retrace back to the moving average and have its wick touch the price, if our CMF is above the moving average, we would be taking the trade. But if price happens to close below the moving average and it is still in green, if we get our CMF above the 0 line, and price action is still below the moving average, we would then wait till price crosses and close above the moving average before we open our trade, and this will happen if the CMF is still above the 0 line. So here is an example, as we see that price closed below the moving average on its pullback on this existing bullish trend. We would then wait for our CMF to cross above the 0 line, and we see it happened at this point. We still had the price below the moving average. Now we waited till price crossed above the moving average and closed, before we entered our trade at this trigger candlestick. And we see it was a successful trade too. Now let's go over the settings we applied to this indicators. Before we move on to conditions for a sell trade, I would still give some more examples and errors to avoid, to help you better understand the strategy before we backtest the strategy. Now for the Hull Suite indicator, this is the settings. And for the CMF indicator, these are the settings. Now that you are equipped with the settings, let's go over the conditions for a sell trade. Now for a sell trade to be valid, we would want to have the Hull Suite colored in red, and price has to be below the moving average. Now we would want to see price action pull back towards the moving average. Then we will trail our entry signal once we see the CMF close below the 0 line. So we see we met our conditions here, as the price pulled back towards the moving average, and we had our CMF cross below the moving average at this point, before we entered our trade. And you can notice that price action is below the moving average, as we go ahead to open trade at the bottom of the trigger candlestick. Now we see the trade was successful. Please note that during price pullback, if the candlestick does not touch or close below the moving average, we would not be taking any trades. Now at this point, we had a pullback from price, and our CMF was still below the 0 line. We waited till it crossed above the 0 line, but the price action has already crossed and closed below the Hull Suite, so this trade would be termed invalid. Now let's go over some few examples before we start our backtest, to help you better understand this strategy. Here is a sell trade we wouldn't have taken. So we see that price action retraced and closed above the hull sweep, and our CMF is above the zero line. So we waited till we got our CMF below the zero line, but price action has already crossed above the moving average, so we wouldn't be taking this trade. And notice how both indicators work to help filter bad trades. Here is another buy trade we wouldn't have taken. So we see that price pulled back towards the moving average, but none of its candlestick touched or closed below the hull sweep. So we wouldn't take this trade even though it was a good buy signal. We need to have the wick of the candlestick touch or close below the hull sweep, as that's our conditions for entry. Now let us have this last example before we start our backtesting. So we see here that price retrace and touch the hull sweep. We also had our CMF above the zero line. We then waited till the CMF crossed and closed below the zero line, before we opened a sell trade at the bottom of the trigger candlestick. Okay traders, now let us backtest our strategy with an account size of $1,000, and we would be covering 200 trades during our backtesting, as we would be using 1% of our account size on each trade. So let us dive into it. So we just finished the backtesting for this strategy, and we can see that the results are amazing. We had a win rate of 84% in 200 backtested trades, having won 168 trades and lost 32, which made us 236% return on investment. And I found those wonderful trade setups within 11 months, although commissions and spread fees would eat up some of the profit in real trading because it was not included in the backtest. So you definitely want to expect that number to be lower when trading life. The profit factor for this strategy is looking good, I guess, and we had 8 wins in a row against 5 losses in a row. So yeah, I'm definitely happy with these results. Okay traders, please don't forget to hit on the subscription button, and also like this video as it really helps the channel. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.